Okay, let's do a quick video for Simulation Playground. This is the Simulation Playground and we're double clicking on it, opening it up in Xcode. So it seemed to work that time, but I've noticed sometimes when I go to open the simulation, it gives me a white screen and nothing happens. I have to close it and reopen it. And let's go back to the first page here. Make sure we go through each page. So this is going to kind of run a simulation inside of Swift Playgrounds for you. Let's go ahead and go to the next page now. And so right off the bat, I'm not seeing a simulation over here. And I made a whole video on how to do this, but put simply, let's see here. Oh, it said failed. Did you see that? Failed simulation. Basically, I'm gonna close and reopen it then. Okay, it's thinking about it. It's thinking. Now, if you see a blue play sign over here, then you have to click the play sign. I'm actually going to stop it here. So I'm going to hold this play button down here and go to manually run. I want to manually start the simulation. So now when I hover over here, I click the play button and it runs the simulation. Okay, great. So I don't know why that is. My auto, so if it's set to automatically run, maybe it won't work. So I'm manually running it. And again, to get this little pop-up, you hold down the mouse button over there. So click and hold and then choose manually run. And there's a simulation running over there. That's cool. If you still don't see a simulation running over here, then click up here to this, I don't know, this symbol with the lines. And make sure that there's a check mark next to live view. So you want to make sure that you check live view. It should look like this. Next page. So it wants you to run the same simulation, but it wants you to modify the number of ants. You'll see there's like 2 slash marks in front of these variables down here. These are like a bit of code. And so let's delete those little slash marks. So the slash is a comment. So it turns the code into a comment, which effectively renders it useless. So let's uncomment these 2 lines of code here by deleting the slash marks. And let's run the simulation again. Okay, so you see you got two little ants running around there. Okay, so you see you got 2 little ants running around there. Let's see what happens if we make it 200. And then I'm going to have to click run again, since it's not automatically executing. And whoa, there's 200 ants running around. And what if I make their speed 30 instead? So this is what it's asking you to do, is to modify these variables and see what happens. Okay, very cool. Next page. Okay, it's going to go through and say you can modify more variables about the simulation. And you might wonder, like, well, where are these variables coming from? They're not declared anywhere, right? I mean, if you know coding, then you have to know you have to define these somewhere or how they work. And you don't even see any functions or anything happening. It's all behind the scenes in these playgrounds. So there's code that you don't see behind the scenes. And if you're really crafty, you can kind of look at the source code somehow. I forget how. And you could see that. But I'm not going to get into that today. We don't need to worry about it. So let's click play here. Okay. So as an instructor, what I'm looking for is to see if if you've modified these. So let's go ahead and change some of these things. I'm going to make this 100. Make this be 3 ants, and pheromone rate. We'll just kind of see how this affects it. You know, and probably you want to maybe change one, see how it affects it, change another one, see how it affects it. Okay. Okay, so that's like the size of the boxes. I liked it as 100. That was kind of cool. Number of ants, sure, we get that. There's just 3 ants, 3 red dots. Pheromone evaporation rate, huh. So I'm looking at the documentation up here to try to figure out what the heck's going on with these pheromone rates. So the pheromone evaporation rate is a double. And you may ask yourself, what is a double? We might not have learned that yet in class. A double is like a type of a property. So it's a number that can have a decimal point in it. Whereas an int is a number that does not have or cannot have a decimal point. So for instance, it says the number of ants is an integer. So int is integer, so you can't have 100.2 ants because it's an int. It has to be a whole number. Whereas a double down here, the evaporation rate, for instance, could be 100.2 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. So a double is a floating point 64-bit number, basically. Okay, I think that's all we need to go over there for now, just in case you're wondering what is a double and what is an int. There we go. And it's the rate in which, in units per second, that pheromone evaporates from a cell. I see. And the cells are these squares that they're dropping. Pheromone deposit rate, the rate in units per second that pheromone is deposited by an ant. Suggested range 0 to 1,000. So let's deposit a ton of pheromones. And let's make it evaporate 1 unit per second. Let's say there's I don't know 100 ants. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to understand what's going on. And I'm going to make my simulation a little bigger, and let's go ahead and run it again and see if we can figure this out. I see. Very interesting. So I guess this blue stuff is their pheromones dropped inside of the cell. And it's not really evaporating. You see it's not going away. So if we change it to, like, let's say, I don't know, 500, let's see what happens then. Okay, you see the blue kind of goes away sometimes. Very cool. Okay, so we've done what this assignment asked on this page, and we've changed some variables. Let's look forward here. Okay, so now try modifying these parameters. Okay, so there's more parameters you can fiddle with just to see how it works. So if you select everything and then hold down Command and Shift, it'll comment out or uncomment a bunch of code. So I'm going to uncomment all this code so that it works, and then I'm going to click play just to see what's going on here first. Okay, looks like we've got some new variables to fiddle with. So I'm just going to fiddle with these variables and see how they affect things. Number of ants, let's drop it to, I don't know, 40. Well, this is interesting. Down here, it says number of ants 2 times. So I'm going to run this, but my guess is that you're reassigning it here. So let's say we make the number of ants 1 here. So I want the number of ants to be 1, and then I click play. There's probably still going to be 20 ants over here. Yep, see there's still 20. Because this is, it's a property, it's a variable that changes. And the way that Xcode executes these playgrounds, it kind of goes top to bottom. So it gets up here and then goes down. And you'll see it actually, yeah, look at that. Okay, home, food, environment, number of ants, speed. You'll even see if you click on number of ants once, you see it highlights the other instance of it down here. So it gets down to this point, okay, and it says number of ants is 1. Okay, fine. And then it gets to this point, and then it says number of ants is 20. And that happens, so it's the number of ants is 1 happens for just a millisecond before it's reassigned to 20. So this line is bogus. Like, just, I'm going to comment that out. That's dumb. Like, and I assume that was part of the lesson, is to try to figure out why that is not working. And it's because you're reassigning the variable there. So now if I rerun the app, let's see, should just be one little ant running around. Yeah. And let's look at the last page here. And ask you to go over some questions for reflecting on your experience. Can you describe the rules for an ant's behavior? So these are interesting questions, you know, nice thought experiment, but there's actually there's nothing you have to do here for this particular page, other than just to kind of think about what we learned when we were looking through the ant program. Okay, so hopefully this helped you out get through this assignment. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you next time.